What's up, everyone? Welcome to this day in Philly sports history for April 10th, 2024. I'm your host, Jim Montgomery. Coming at you a little later today. I was off today, so I slept in just a bit. A couple programming notes. Next weekend, I will be away, so the podcast probably will be a little bit later, but as always, every day, it is here, so stay tuned for that. Be sure to follow me on social media, Jimbo_Mott, Twitter and TikTok. At Philly Jimbo on Instagram. Be sure to like and subscribe to the YouTube channel, Jimbo_Mott. We've been doing a good job on this. So let's keep it going. Tell your friends, spread the word, and let's get this thing growing. Be sure, too, to check out the information on the Philadelphia Sports Hall of Fame down in the description. The induction class, as well as buying tickets for the ceremony. We actually have a meeting tonight to discuss some of the things. So there's still time, but as we're in the event planning, it doesn't hurt to buy early because, like I said, this is a star-studded class, so be sure to get your tickets early. All right, let's start with a recap of yesterday's question of the day. I asked you, should Philadelphia have a WNBA team? 88% of you agreed with me that said, yes, we should. I'm not sure, and maybe the no's were more, I'm not going to go, so who cares? But I do think there's a market there, and let people smarter than me figure out the details. But I do think it's time for a WNBA team in Philly, and 88% of you agreed with me. 267-495-8531 get you into the Back to the Future voice and text line. As always, thanks for participating in the question of the day. There will be another one later in the show. All right, let's start with the good. And that was the Sixers 120-102 over Detroit. Again, they did exactly what they're supposed to do. And a lot of times with Doc Rivers, this was a game they would totally have lost. So they still stay within striking distance of that 6th seed with 3 games left. They are one game behind the Pacers, 1 game up on the Heat with 3 games left. I think the Heat have 4 left. But it's going to buckle up. We're coming in for a landing. Joe was just outstanding. He played his most minutes, 36 since the knee injury, had 37 and 11 points. Said he felt it a little bit, but his conditioning is starting to get there. Still have 3 more chances to get right, at least before that play-in tournament. And I mean, I would love to get that 6th seed because that's going to be a battle. And hopefully we at least get the home seed if we have to go to the play-in. But he healed, looked good. There was no Tyrese, no Tobias, but overall they're looking good since Joe's been back. And again, I hate having the 1-game series if they get into the play-in. But if they can get through that 1-game play-in, I mean, it's going to be tough to beat this team in a 7-game series. So we just sit back, buckle up, and see where things go. Be sure to check out my boys over at the Clashing Conferences podcast. New episodes drop on Thursday. They're taking a look at the NBA. Always a good time. A lot of trash talk and banter. So check them out wherever you get your podcasts, as well as YouTube. All right, now time for the bad. Phillies 3-0 loss to the Cardinals. No run support over Zack Wheeler. They've yet to win, or for Zack Wheeler, they've yet to win a game where he's pitched, and I don't know. There's some guys struggling. They can't hit with runners in scoring position. And is it me? And I know it's early, and maybe it's just I'm hyper aware of this, but they seem to be hitting into a lot of double plays. And the runners in scoring position over the past few years has been an issue for this team, even going back to the World Series team. And they're getting guys on base. I think they ended up with more hits than the Cardinals yesterday. They just couldn't do anything with them. And like I said, tons of double plays, it seems, and not being able to knock guys in when they're in scoring position. And then to make matters worse, JT left the game because he got hit in the throat on a ball that bounced up from Wheeler. Hopefully he's okay. Likely we'll see Garrett Stubbs today behind the plate with Nola on the mound. But, man, just no runs. Like I don't even know if this is like the hitting coach, whether we need to look at Kevin Long or what. But this is now 3 straight years of struggling with runners in scoring position, and I don't know. Like, it seems to me like they hit the ball hard, but they're hitting it right to where the fielders are. So I don't know if that's on the hitter, if that's good scouting on the opposing team, or what. But they're struggling still out of the gate. Luckily, the Braves aren't necessarily running away with things. We're only 2.5 out. It's still early, but man, no run support for Wheeler. Hopefully, they can get some run support for Nola tonight, and he can be back to himself. But I don't know. Not cause for concern yet, but this is a trend now, 3 years in a row with runners in scoring position. So I don't know. If you know the game, I'm stumped. Like I don't know. They're getting good hits on it. It's just they're hitting it right to where the guys are. I know you just keep hitting it, but man, just unlucky. All right, now let's go to the ugly. 8 in a row, and I think that if you listen close enough, you can hear taps in the background. I think the Flyers season is done. 9-3, they lost to the Canadiens last night. Somehow, some way, they're only a point out of a wild card spot with 3 games left. They're Detroit and Pittsburgh are tied. They're 4 back of the Islanders. That's going to be a little bit tougher of a situation, but 8 games in a row. And the 3 games left aren't necessarily easy wins, and maybe that's what they need. Maybe they need games against tough teams. It seems like they tend to struggle against teams they should win, but they got the Rangers, Devils, and then Capitals. But, man, just an interesting night in Philly sports. We had the good, which was the Sixers, the bad, which is the Phillies, and then the Flyers. And again, if you listen close off in the distance, you can hear taps starting to play. But man, it's just we've been cursed. It's been a rough few year span here. And even, going back to 2022, it's been rough, but what are you going to do? All right, Eagles news. Fletcher Cox officially announced his retirement yesterday, and I thought this was pretty cool. He brought his whole family with him to make the announcement, and he said that was because they were there with him when he was drafted. So I thought that was a pretty cool moment, making it go full circle. 6-time All-Pro, or 4-time All-Pro, 6-time Pro Bowler. I think he was 1 or 2-time first-team All-Pro. On the 2010 All-Decade team for the Eagles, and just one of the all-time greats to ever do it. I saw some people trying to figure out where he ranks defensive lineman wise in Eagles history. I think obviously you have Reggie at the top, but I think you can make the argument that him and Jerome, he might have surpassed Jerome just because of longevity. But either way, he's one of the top 5 Eagles defensive linemen of all time. Like I said, pretty cool. He said he knew it was time. Didn't want to hang on. So shout out Fletch for all you've done, winning a Super Bowl, being one of the greatest to ever do it. We appreciate you. And we're going to have 2 questions of the day. And the first one, we already talked when he officially or unofficially announced his retirement about whether or not he was a Hall of Famer. But where does he rank among the Eagles greats? Like, is he top 5, top 10, top 20? Let me know what you think. 267-495-8531. Get you in. That is today's question of the day. Where does Fletcher rank among the Eagles' all-time greats? I would say he's got to be at least top 10, minimally. And he did it quietly, and that was the thing. Obviously, you have like Reggie, you have B-Dog, you have even Kelsey to a certain point up there at the top, Donovan. But I think you put Fletcher in that next tier there with guys like Brandon Graham, and even like a Clyde Simmons and Eric Allen, like those guys. Like, we've had a lot of great players. Randall. So let me know, where does Fletcher rank among the all-time Eagles? Top 5, top 10, top 15, or top 20? I say he's at least a top 10. I think you could seriously make the argument for top 5. But let me know what you think. 267-495-8531. Get you in on the Back to the Future voice and text line. And I'm doing this off the cuff. That was not my original question of the day. So I'm doing it without even thinking. I would put him probably top 10. And I could seriously make an argument for top 5. But let me know what you think on today's question of the day. There'll be a bonus question too. I'm anxious to get some feedback on what you guys think on this. And finally, for the Eagles, sign Devontae. Howie, make it happen. I'm going to say it every day until it happens. So if you want me to stop saying it, Howie, because I know you listen, just make it happen, man. Or at least shoot me a text and let me know that you're on the way to signing it. It's just a matter of time. Give me a sign, something. Go to phillygoat.com. Speaking of signs, this is your sign because of how bad things were yesterday for the Phillies and Flyers. Now would be the time to buy low on both of those teams. Go to Philly Goat. They got the shoes. They have shirts, hats, pants, whatever you want to get it right. Go to phillygoat.com. Check out their selection of Philly sports-based apparel. Use the promo code Jim Montgomery for 10% off your order. That's phillygoat.com. Promo code Jim Montgomery for 10% off. I promise you, you will not be disappointed. All right, today we are going to go back to 1971. And on this day in 1971, the Phillies beat the Expos in their home opener, which also happened to be the first ever game at Veterans Stadium. Larry Bowa went 2 for 4 with a triple, had a single in the first inning, which was the first ever hit at the Vet. Don Money hit the first home run at the Vet for the Phils in the 6th. Jim Bunning got the win for the Phils that day. Just some facts about the Vet in the 1971 season. Harry Kalas, the legend himself, was picked by Bill Giles to replace Bill Campbell as the voice of the Phillies. He came in under mixed reviews, but quickly won over the Philadelphia faithful and became an absolute legend and one of my all-time favorites. And if I talk about it all the time, you're probably going to hear me say it 1,000 more times over the life of this podcast. But Harry Kalas and Richie Ashburn kind of provided some of the soundtrack to my summer as a kid. But he got his start in 1971, served as master of ceremonies of the opening of the Vet. That was kind of the highlight of the year for the Phils, though. They went 67-95. Just a terrible, terrible team, but help was on the way. In 1971, they actually is when they drafted Mike Schmidt that summer. Played for Reading, and I think he got a couple at-bats in the fall of 1971. I could be wrong on that. I will double-check to confirm. But then Steve Carlton came over in 1972, and we all know how that ultimately ended up working out for the Phils. Also, and I did not realize this happened in the first year, and if you remember the Vet, for the older crowd out there, they had the Willie Stargell star with his number in it. It was yellow and black because he played for the Pirates. It was the longest home run ever hit in the Vet. That happened the first year of the Vet. So he hit that bomb, and nobody came close since then, ever since then, which is just crazy to me. I have a ton of memories at the Vet. I have my piece of the Vet over there, if you can see. There you go. If you're watching on YouTube, also with the ticket stub from my first Eagles game ever at the Vet. I go back to those ugly yellow, brown, and orange seats at the Vet. I just remember the first time being in there, sitting in the middle of center field, in between the two scoreboards, section 642. It was roughly, I think it was like 87-ish. Mike Schmidt was still playing. The Phillies were just bad. They played the Mets. They got killed. But I just vividly remember walking in that first time, and those orange, brown, and yellow seats were just insane. And then so many other great memories. The first game after 9/11 I was there for, the NFC Championship games. Ultimately, we're not on the right end of, but I was there for McNabb's 4-touchdown game when he broke his leg. So many times. When Bush made the announcement that we were invading Iraq after 9/11. So just so many good memories. Some of them, not as on the winning end, but that is today's question of the day, bonus edition. What is your favorite vet memory? What are your favorite moments, memories? Let me know what you have. 267-495-8531. Get you in. Let me know. I know it was a dump, but as everyone says, it was our dump, and there is a lot of people. I mean, we're spoiled with Citizens Bank Park and Lincoln Financial Field now, but man, the vet was an absolute piece of shit, but I loved it. I was there the game after the when Michael Irvin got hurt. It was Halloween, and just, man, the 700 level was a different place, man. Different mentality, different place. Say what you want about Philly fans. The vet was different. So let me know, what is your favorite memory or moment ever at Veterans Stadium? Also, the other question of the day regarding Fletcher Cox, where does he rank all time as the Eagles' all-time greats? But on this day, 1971, the vet officially opened with the Phillies winning 4-1 over the Expos. They did not win much more that season. But let me know, what's your favorite vet memory or moment? From one extreme to the other, we're going to go to the top 20 memory from the 20th anniversary of Citizens Bank Park. And on this day, we're going back to June 14th, 2014. The Phillies beat the Cubs 7-4. Jimmy Rollins went 1 for 4, and his fifth inning single was his 2,235th of all time, passing Mike Schmidt as the Phillies' all-time hit leader. He would end his career with 2,455 total hits, 2,306 with the Phillies. And in my mind, Jimmy Rollins has a Hall of Fame resume. He was an MVP, 3-time All-Star, 4-time Gold Glover, and I still think that All-Star number is misleading because nobody in the National League during that time had more than 3 or 4 All-Star appearances during his career, because the shortstop was stacked in the National League. And I think that is probably one of the things that holds Jimmy back from being considered a slam dunk Hall of Famer, is because there was just a log jam. And I look at a guy like Barry Larkin, who's in the Hall of Fame, and nothing against him, great player, but Jimmy Rollins is better than him. But Jimmy Rollins is a victim of his age and when he played, because not only was there a logjam of good shortstops in the National League, he played during most of his career with Derek Jeter, who is one of the greatest to ever do it. So I think that is what holds Jimmy back a lot. A lot of times the Hall of Fame looks like, were you the best of your era? And for my money, he was number 2 in his era because of what he could do. Jimmy could hit, Jimmy could field, he could hit for average, power, steal bases. He was a leader. So those, I think he has the tools. He just gets it gets taken away because of how good the National League was at shortstop. He's the second greatest Philly of all time. Leads the Phillies all time in doubles. It's going through the Phillies all time leaders. Made me realize just how great Mike Schmidt was. Almost every offensive category, Mike Schmidt is the Phillies all-time leader in. But for my money, Jimmy Rollins is right there at number 2. But let me know what you think. Why not go 3 questions of the day today? The official one is Fletcher, but let me know, is Jimmy Rollins a Hall of Famer? I know we've had this discussion, and people are very adamant either way, but for me, he is, and I totally think, fair or not, he's better than some shortstops in there. Barry Larkin, for instance. And I don't care what anybody says. Reds fans, relax. Don't come at me. I think he's a better player. It has a better Hall of Fame resume than Barry Larkin does. It is what it is. But on this day, or not on this day, but our memory at Citizens Bank Park for the 20th anniversary was June 14th, 2014. Jimmy Rollins passing Mike Schmidt for the Phillies' all-time leading hits leader. And then, like I said, I think he's the second greatest Philly ever. And I mean, who's better other than Mike Schmidt? You can maybe make maybe Steve Carlton, but it's Carlton, Schmidt, Carlton, and Rollins are the top 3 Phillies of all time. Who knocks one of those 3 out too? We'll go 4 questions of the day. Why not? Let's get some interaction going here. But On this day, or not on this day, our memory of the day for the top 20 memory of Citizens Bank Park is Jimmy Rollins passing Mike Schmidt as the all-time hits leader in Phillies history. Finally today, we don't have to go back too far for this one, our Philly sports team with unfinished business, and this one is still kind of open-ended. I debated even putting them on there, but just because of the way these past two seasons went, and that's the 2022 Eagles. They went 14-3, had the number 1 seed. Jalen Hurts was playing at an MVP level. They rolled through the playoffs, rolled through the whiners, who are still whining. Did you see? There was I forget what player it was now, but they were on the Kay Adams show up in Adams and still whining about the Super Bowl with the Chiefs. Like, we were playing against the Chiefs and the ref. Like, I've never met a team with more excuses just built in. Like, never what we did. Oh, no. It's not. We could have played better. And, like, say what you want about Philly fans. And I don't want to take away from the 2022 Eagles. We all know how that played out. But we don't make excuses. Like, we hold our players accountable. Not one player on that 49ers team over the past 2 years, with all the talent they had, nobody's held accountable. It's always somebody else. It's, they hurt Brock Purdy. Or, we had to go against the refs. Or, look what we did in the regular season. But it doesn't matter. Shut up and stop whining. Like, for real. Sorry, that was an unscripted rant there, but I forgot I saw that yesterday, and it's ridiculous. Shut up. You look stupid. Like, come on. Anyway, the 2022 Eagles, we know they ended up losing the Super Bowl 38-35, and there are a ton of excuses we could use. The questionable holding call on Bradbury. We could use the fact the field was like an ice rink. But no. You know who we blame for that? Bradbury, the special teams, and Jalen Hurts for fumbling and giving them a touchdown. See that, 49ers fans? Hold yourself accountable. But I will say this year kind of carried in, or was an extension of that and just ended in disappointment. So that's why, to me, the 2022 Eagles still have that unfinished business. It's unclear whether they'll get back there. But it's just frustrating because you're there. You played one of the best Super Bowls ever, and you come up short, and it was there for the winning. It's not like Super Bowl 39. You could certainly make the argument that they could have played better and they were there, but I think it wasn't there for the taking. The Patriots were just a better team. I think the Eagles were a better team last year. They just made mistakes. And again, that's not making excuses, Whiners fans. That's me saying we cost ourselves the game. You're blaming the refs. You're blaming this. You're blaming that. Like, stop it. Stop it. But yeah, that was just a hard year for Philly fans as the Eagles lost the Super Bowl, the Phillies lost the World Series, and then the Union lost the MLS Cup too. And then obviously the Sixers just being the Sixers. And it seems like it's been a rough 3-year stretch because it seems like it's still rolling as the Flyers are in the middle of an epic meltdown, just like the Eagles were last year. And we all know how the Sixers are going to go. They're going to lose probably in the first round. And yes, I know that's an old Philly mindset. I get it. I tell you all the time, stay positive. But I've seen this movie before. I know how it ends. But I'm putting myself out there anyway. All right, I feel like I'm just ranting. All right, today's Philly sports team with unfinished business that left a little bit of meat on the bone, and in my opinion, a lot of meat on the bone, is the 2022 Eagles, who came up short in the Super Bowl to the Chiefs, 38-35, through nobody's fault but themselves, 49ers fans. Get the hell out of here. Our top 20 memory for the 20th anniversary of Citizens Bank Park, Jimmy Rollins passing Mike Schmidt as the Phillies' all-time hit leader in 2014. Let me know what you think. Jimmy Rollins, Hall of Famer or not, and is he top 3 Phillies of all time? I think the top 3, it's Mike Schmidt, and then I put him right there with Steve Carlton. Maybe Carlton just a hair above, but who's better? Who's going to knock Jimmy out of the top 3? Let me know that. Give me your vet memories, because on this day in 1971, the vet officially opened with the Phillies beating the Expos 4-1. Let me know. Like I said, I think my all-time favorite memory was the first. It was a Phillies game, and it was the first game after 9/11, and just how electric the crowd was, how patriotic everyone was. I don't even remember who won the game. I don't even think it's important. Just being there when they took on the Braves that day. But let me know, what is your top vet memory? Jimmy Rollins, top 3 Phillies, yay or nay? Hall of Famer, yay or nay? But more importantly, officially, where does Fletcher Cox rank among the all-time Eagles? Got a lot to get into today. 267-495-8531. Let me know your thinking. And honestly, are the 49ers the worst fan base in America? Let me know that as well, because it's hard to find somebody like, we talk about Spencer Strider having a punchable face. The 49ers in general, the logo, that stupid minor they have is a punchable, like the organization is a punchable face. God, I'm on a rant today. On fire. All right, Phillies look to take the series tonight against the Cardinals. Flyers will lick their wounds. Sixers getting ready for this 3-game sprint and see where I feel like it's going to go in. It's going to be a cloud of smoke, and then we'll see where they end up. Minimally, they need to take 2 out of 3. It's right there for the taking, though, for them to take all 3. So let's do it. This has been This Day in Philly Sports History. I'm Jim Montgomery. Go have yourselves a Wednesday. It's going to be beautiful out. And until next time, I'll see you when I see you.